Come and join us, DDNVR. We are DNVR.
Denver Broncos podcast on this wonderful Wednesday. I'm your host, Zach Stevens, joined by my man, Andrew Mason. And before we hop into the show, gotta tell you about our presenting sponsor, MSU Denver Online. Over at MSU Denver Online, they provide affordable classes that you can take at your own pace, whether you want to take one class, two classes, or you want to take an entire semester in order to get a degree. You can do that over at MSU Denver Online. And the big thing about this is you don't have to stop your life. You can continue to work while doing these classes and earning a degree, which is so important for so many of us, especially in uncertain times like we're in now. So check them out and see everything they have going on over at MSU Denver Online. My boy, Mace, how's it going today?
Hanging in there. Ready to have a little Q Aaron discussion.
Hanging in there. I mean, that's how yesterday started, and I'm ready to boost you up, Mace.
That's okay. I don't need a boost. I'm fine. I mean, you just boost yourself. I'm good. I'm staying on the even keel. All right. The boost means up, but then there's a crash. It's like when you have a 5-hour energy. They say no crash later. That's bull. You have 5 hours later, you have a crash.
Unless you just keep taking them.
Right. I'm not interested in the seismograph during an earthquake. I'm interested in just staying on the level.
Well, man, I got to tell you what, Mace, these quarterbacks this offseason have us going up and down, up and down. I mean, yesterday, we're talking about Kyler Murray potentially joining the Broncos. Today, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially joining the Broncos. And this is something that we've talked about for a long time. We've talked about it so much last offseason. Of course, there was reason for it. And today, there's more reason for it. Aaron Rodgers is down at Phoenix at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and he was warming up today. And we had some intel about what happened down there. Yeah, here, let's play the clip of Aaron Rodgers warming up down there today. All right, he's taking some practice swings, getting going. Look at that flow he's got going on the golf course. It's pretty impressive. You typically don't see that on the golf course.
I don't care. What kind of quarterback is he?
Yeah, here, do we have sound on it too? So anyways, what happens in this clip, Mace, is Aaron Rodgers takes a couple practice swings, and then right when he's done and walking off, even though he's in Phoenix, remember, we hear a bunch of Broncos fans saying, "Come to Denver, Aaron! Come to Denver, Aaron!" And you can find that whole clip on DNVR Broncos Twitter. And what he says after, he says, "We'll see." Aaron Rodgers leaving the door open, maybe opening the door to come to Denver. What is Aaron Rodgers doing, Mace? Is this a sign to the Broncos?
Okay, he's not a parent, but I am a parent. And here's the thing. Like, if my daughter is asking for something and I think it might be beyond the realm of normal requests, as a parent, I say, we'll see. And actually, from me, we'll see means probably no.
So that, like you said, that's a parent's mentality, and I like hearing that because I'm not a parent. But like you said, Aaron Rodgers, not a parent either, and so I'm not a parent. When I say we'll see, let's say to my fiance or a friend or something, I'm doing the opposite. I'm leaving the door open for that to happen. I just don't want to commit to that right away. Maybe it's a lack of commitment issues that I have or something like that, but maybe Aaron's saying we'll see in a way of the opposite. Maybe he's saying we'll see by leaving that door open and saying to George Payton, "Come get me."
You know what? I think we're chasing a breadcrumb here that means absolutely nothing.
Well,
I'm sorry. And I know, like, you're kind of going crazy. You're kind of, all in with this, and I get that. But when we'll see, and I'm like, are we really going to overreact to this?
Here's the thing, though, and in all seriousness, or all joking and fun aside, and this is something that I truly can't get over, why the heck would Aaron Rodgers be messing around with the Green Bay Packers like this? If he was going to stay And in the next few weeks, we know he's going to make a decision. If he was going to stay with the Green Bay Packers, why would he be doing this? Last year, he messed with them enough and proved a point that I want things done my way. It appears Kyler Murray's doing that exact same thing with the Arizona Cardinals this offseason. He's sending a message. Aaron Rodgers sent that message last year over and over and over again. And why would he be doing that again if he's just going to go back there? Why would he be riling up the fan base, probably scaring his teammates, scaring the organization, pissing people off in that building?
I don't think he's thinking about that. I think he's thinking about in that case, you have Broncos fans saying, come to the Broncos, okay? I think he's thinking about them and wants to, say whatever it is that maybe makes him feel good without committing. And I think it's possible he hasn't even made up his mind yet, that he's still in the process of this of weighing everything and deciding.
But if he hasn't made up his mind to go back to the team who was the number 1 seed in the NFC last year and that had so much success, and he's had so much success with personally back-to-back MVPs likely, and as a team, why is he doing this?
Because because that contract that he has dictates a very complicated restructure. And not just for him, but for purposes of getting the guys that he wants back. He wants to keep playing with DEVONTE Adams. He wants to keep playing with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So if you're Green Bay and you're trying to create a restructure, it's not just a restructure that's going to satisfy Aaron Rodgers, but also allow you to get those players in while also getting your draft picks in. So the financial realities of this dictate that if he is coming back to Green Bay, it's not something that can be done at the snap of a finger. I think it's very possible that at this point today, here, what is today, the 9th of February?
Yep.
He does not know.
So what do you
he's
think?
going to do.
What do you think he wants from Green Bay? Because it's for the idea I'm getting from you is that he ideally wants to go back to Green Bay, but he wants a few things to happen. Is that correct?
He wants to make sure that in particular, Adams and Valdez-Scantling are back.
Okay, and how does that happen? Because we know they are in a nightmare situation over in Green Bay with the cap. I believe they're, $45 million below the cap?
Or
That's without...
Above the cap.
Above the cap? I think they're below. Above
no,
the cap.
They're above
yes,
the cap.
yes.
Yeah, they're in the red.
Exactly.
So
they have negative cap money.
Yeah.
That is with a huge salary cap from Aaron Rodgers, but that's without DEVONTE Adams on the books.
Right, and so it's not just his restructure; it's also other restructures. It's also for Rodgers putting together a contract that will have the cap hits spread out effectively and appropriately, to where they can have him now, have him later. It's probably an acknowledgement that when Aaron Rodgers retires, if he comes back to Green Bay, they're going to have a year that they have to write off. Okay, so
Just
you have
like
to,
the Saints this year.
but you'll have to structure Adams' contract the same way. And I think right now, if he's thinking about coming back to Green Bay, the process of figuring out how the Packers can satisfy what he would want personnel-wise around him with their cap situation, it's going to take a feat of cap intrepidity that exceeds even what the New Orleans Saints pulled off in recent years to try to keep that team together for as long as Drew Brees kept going and going. As we see today, the bill is due on the Saints, and it's why the Saints might be best served by simply wiping the slate clean, telling Dennis Allen, all right, whatever happens this year happens. We're going to write off this year and maybe be in position to get a quarterback at the top of next year's draft. Green Bay, if they are trying to get Aaron Rodgers back, it is about figuring all these things out, and it's complicated because it does involve multiple contracts. Other guys will have to take restructures. Again, they'll get the same amount of cash. They might even get more guaranteed down the line, but they got to restructure where things are cap wise. One thing that is clear: if Green Bay wants to emphasize cold hard cash as an incentive to get people to restructure, to guarantee that and put it in escrow, this is something that Green Bay can very easily do. The Packers are a cash-rich franchise. Even after the pandemic, they are still sitting on a cash reservoir of $400+ million. So
That's a lot of money.
yes, the Packers have, as an organization, the financial flexibility and the revenue streams from multiple areas, because Lambeau Field is basically not an amusement park, but it is a destination. It is a tourist attraction. It is a place of pilgrimage for Packer Nation. They have access to revenue streams that ensure that if they dive deep into their reserve fund, they'll be able to replenish that quickly. And so that's where you start. If you start going to players and saying, all right, let's restructure this contract a little bit. You get the cap number reduced. You give them more cash. But to make this work and to stuff basically 100 pounds into a 50-pound bag, it's not something that you can do in one day or even 1 week, because you have potentially, if you're talking about multiple restructures, you're potentially talking about anywhere from 10 to 12 contracts that you have to work on here if you're going to get Aaron Rodgers in there.
Well, time is ticking. What's Green Bay doing right now? Because Aaron Rodgers said he wants to make the decision before the Packers have to decide on the franchise tag with DEVONTE Adams, which they have about 1 month to do. That window opens up in a couple of weeks, and then it closes in just about a month from now. So what's Green Bay doing? Like you said, it's not just one guy they have to work on. It's about 10 to 12 guys, and it seems like the one guy Aaron Rodgers really wants to play with is DEVONTE Adams. That's his one guy. Bring DEVONTE Adams to Denver. Tell Aaron Rodgers, when we bring you here, we're going to give DEVONTE Adams, your guy, a massive contract. And, oh, by the way, one thing that you absolutely hated the past few years about the Green Bay Packers is they never invested in tight ends and running backs. I guess they did running back a little bit, and wide receivers outside of DEVONTE Adams. You say, okay, not only are we going to get you your guy, DEVONTE Adams, pay him, what, $20, $25 million, $27 million to match DeAndre Hopkins as the highest paid receiver, but then we're going to have probably maybe all of these guys but one, a second-round pick who's a Pro Bowler in Cortland Sutton, a first-round pick in Jerry Jeudy, who is still looking like a first-round pick in some people's eyes, a first-round tight end in Noah Fant, and Alberto, who looks very promising. Oh, by the way, KJ Hamler as a second-round pick. Look, Aaron, we've invested in so many of these weapons that you have wanted. And by the way, we have Javonte Williams. And you want Melvin Gordon back too? It really seems like Melvin Gordon wants to be a Denver Bronco. We could probably bring him back on a relatively friendly deal. So why would Aaron, if he just wants to play with DEVONTE Adams, why wouldn't he say, maybe I'm open to other places?
He might be. He's probably open. I think he's considering everything right now.
Well, then that Will C is opening the door. Is leaving the door open for the Broncos.
I think Will C is just completely non-committal. Like that's a man who hasn't decided what he wants to do. That's a man who hasn't decided if he wants to go the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning route and go somewhere else, or if he wants to be the guy who plays his entire career in one place. I mean, even Peyton Manning has said that while he loves the fact that he came to the Broncos, that there's always a part of him that wishes he'd been able to spend his career with one team, and that he kind of envies Eli Manning because he was a New York Giant, and that was it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Peyton, could you ever imagine Peyton at a golf tournament? Which he's a golfer. He's been in some tournaments under contract with the Denver Broncos or the Indianapolis Colts. And he's healthy, no issues going on, except for drama he stirred up himself, which, by the way, Peyton doesn't do. And fans are screaming, come to the Chiefs, come to the Colts, come to the Ravens. Could you imagine him saying, we'll see? No, I think he would laugh, keep his mouth shut, or he would brush it off completely. You don't do this if you're a franchise quarterback for a franchise that you're under contract with. If there's not a part of you,
I think
that's
you're making,
okay with
sorry,
leaving.
Zach, I think you're making way too much of that.
So you think Peyton Manning would say that? You think Peyton Manning would say, we'll see?
If Peyton Manning had said at the end of the season that he was weighing his options, if he'd already put that on the table, yes, I think he would.
But my question is,
but
Peyton
the thing
doesn't
is,
do that.
But Peyton didn't say at the end of the season that he was weighing his options. In fact, after the year that he missed because of a neck injury, he was saying that he wanted to stay with the Colts.
Exactly, because he was under contract.
He hoped it would work out, but he already put that out there. And Rodgers already put that out there that he was weighing options, including retirement. Mm-hmm. So the best way to, in that moment, it's a spur of the moment response.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers does spur of the moment things.
Spur of the moment off the cuff And I think you say in that moment, I think you say the thing that is non-committal and gives the piece of cheese to the people who are right there, and that's it. I think you. I'm sorry, Zach. I think you are making way too much of this.
Wouldn't he be giving the cheese to the Packers fans? But instead, he's giving the cheese to the Broncos fans.
What if the Packer fans were there? What I mean,
I don't think there were. It was all saying, "Come to Denver." It wasn't stay in Green Bay.
How do we know? Yeah, I mean, maybe the Packer fans will be there tomorrow. I mean,
you got to go check out the video. All you hear is, "Come to Denver, come to Denver."
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that video is a nothing burger.
So
I think there's nothing there except that this is a guy who is thinking about what path he wants to take, and he may not have made up his mind yet.
So here's one of the things that you keep saying is non-committal, and I agree. Yeah. He is non-committal to the Broncos, to the Green Bay Packers, to any team right now.
Even playing.
Exactly. He is non-committal, but this reminds me of a relationship analogy. It's like you're engaged to a girl for, how long's Aaron Rodgers been there? 15 years?
This was his 17th season.
17 years. You've been dating a girl for 17 years, and she's like, all right, when you get in the ring? And you're just like, we'll see. Is it going to happen? We'll see. Are you going to date that other girl? We'll see. Wait, excuse me, what? What? That can't make you feel good if you're that other person.
So why
if you're the Packers, if you are Packers fans, that makes you feel like wait. We'll see.
Why should Broncos fans feel good about we'll see?
Why should Broncos fans? Because this guy's in a committed relationship to someone else, and he's saying, am I going to be with you? Oh, we'll see. Well, that gives you hope if you're this outside person in the relationship wanting to date that other person.
Do committed relationships typically come with a clause in the contract that effectively states that the entire contract has to be renegotiated, restructured for that person to stay in the relationship?
That's like one of the people saying, let's give it one more year. And that person's like, wait, one more year until I decide if I want to be with you the rest of my life? It definitely is non-committal. And if he is non-committal, I think it's a bigger deal that he's non-committal to the Packers right now. I think that's a huge deal.
He was non-committal when he did his press conference right after they lost the 49ers.
And I think that's a big deal.
And he said he was considering all the options. So I don't really see what's changed between now and then. I don't see that this is I think everyone's going crazy over something that basically it's status quo. Nothing has changed from that moment right after they lost the 49ers. So why is this news?
Well, I think there's more reason behind this just besides this one comment, and I want to dive into that and get your take on something. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. We're about to talk betting odds on Aaron Rodgers, and one thing you can bet on is everything over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And to celebrate Super Bowl 56, they're giving you 56-1 odds on the Super Bowl this week. All you have to do is pick one team to win, either the Bengals or the Rams. And if that team wins and you bet $5 on them, you win $280 in free bets. That is $280 in free bets in your account right away, which you can then use on anything after that. So make sure to check them out. Use the code DNVR when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook and download the top-rated Sportsbook app to use that. They've got also so many awesome Super Bowl bets and props going on, from fun ones to combining so many parlays. It is a blast over there. So check it all out and use that code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
I also want to tell you about us. Tell you about the DNVR bar. Come on down here to the DNVR bar for the big game watch party, or as we're calling it, the Supreme Cup. That's a little different, Supreme Cup.
I love it. A little creativity there.
It is creative, except the thing is, the trophy isn't a cup.
You're right.
Maybe it should be used as the Supreme Trophy.
Oh, the Super Bowl isn't a bowl.
No, not a literal bowl, but you get a Lombardi trophy. So that's why,
Wait, what? No. But
there's no. The trophy isn't a cup.
But the Super Bowl isn't a bowl either. You don't get a bowl.
No, but that you don't get a Rose Bowl when you get a trophy when you win the Rose Bowl. Right?
I'm just saying it's not like you get the Super Bowl at the Super Bowl.
The only bowl,
I don't think the Supreme Cup is misleading.
The only you get a bowl of orange that's got oranges if you win the Orange Bowl. That's the trophy. But like the Sugar Bowl, for example, you get a trophy. There's no bowl involved. It actually looks something more like something you'd see at a tea service or something. But anyway, Supreme Cup, Supreme Bowl, Supreme Trophy, whatever you call it, that's what's going to be on the line on Sunday. And you can come on down to the DNVR bar and join the watch party. We're gonna have giveaways. We're gonna have specials on drinks. Of course, if you're a DNVR member, you get a big beer for the price of a small beer. You can get a discount on merchandise as well. You can get that turkey club sandwich that I like. You can get the chicken sandwich that RK likes. So check it all out at the DNVR bar.
And you also have to check out our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. There's no better time to get yourself a Breckenridge Brewery or 6-pack or 12-pack than on Super Sunday. And if your friends haven't experienced Breckenridge Brewery, now is the time. Get that sampler pack. You can get so many different things. And I think Sunday is going to be in every single beer type of day because I think it's going to be just warm enough where you can have a strawberry sky. It's going to be just cool enough where you can have a hot peak IPA. And if you're in Colorado, make sure to come to the DNVR bar for that, where we have all the Breckenridge beers on tap. Get a member-sized beer, which is a 22-ounce beer for the price of a 16-ounce beer. And on top of that, if you're not in Colorado or you're not able to make it to the bar, go to the Breck Beer Locator to find all the Breckenridge beer closest to you so you can have it for the big game. All right, Mace, let's jump back into this conversation because you're saying I'm stretching this one thing too far. That's your opinion. That's fine. I don't think I am. But there's been other things as well. And one of the things is, speaking of betting and odds, there's been some Vegas odds makers out there that have put the Broncos as extreme heavy favorites to land Aaron Rodgers. I believe I saw one yesterday that had the Broncos as minus 150 for Aaron Rodgers to be a Bronco next year. I know DraftKings had it up for like an hour before they took it down a week ago, and I think they had very similar odds as well. So what do they know that we don't? Or are they just buying the juice that I'm drinking and you're just simply not?
I thought I saw one that I saw recently still had the Packers as the favorite.
Okay.
So it's just reacting where the action's going, right? That's all. I don't put too much stock in what Vegas says on this.
So then you said, and there was one more thing that happened. The Denver Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett to be their coach. They've hired other Green Bay Packers coaches to join their staff. I believe you said right before the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett that if they get Nathaniel Hackett, you would put the odds of Aaron Rodgers being a Bronco at 15%. It kind of feels like you're still right around there. It's about a 15% chance he becomes a Bronco.
I'd say 25.
25? Okay, so why have the odds gone up?
I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't thinking that day. The thing is, Zach, I don't put any thought into percentages and odds of a gambling thing. That's just not my
No,
deal.
I'm just asking in general.
Yeah, why
where
15?
are you at right
I don't
now?
know. 25.
25%?
I don't know. I cover the team. I'm not a prognosticator, Zach. I don't know what the odds are. That's for other people to make. Might he come to Denver? He might not. But 15, 25, who gives a crap?
Well, I just want to see where you're at right now, because right now I'm at like 49%
Good.
that he becomes a Denver Bronco. I think it's like 51% he stays with the Green Bay Packers, but I think what's happened over this past month has made it where it's not going to be a competition. If Aaron Rodgers tells the Packers, I want to leave, I think he's going to go to the Denver Broncos. I think the Denver Broncos would be the heavy favorite here. I'm not saying he's 90% chance to become a Bronco, but I think it's that close where he's either going to stay with the Packers, or if he leaves, he is going to stay, or he is going to become a Denver Bronco.
Okay, fine.
Do you think it's a closer, you think there's going to be other teams involved where it makes it not as much of a guarantee?
I think if there's one thing, you're trying to read tea leaves here, the fact that you saw Mike Tomlin so interested in quarterbacks last week in Mobile maybe makes you think the Steelers are out of the conversation. And that's a team that could have leapt in. I mean, I think there are three likely possibilities: Packers, Broncos, retirement.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything else really viable at this moment. There's no indication that anybody else is putting pieces together. For example, the Raiders were considered a possibility for a while. Is Aaron Rodgers going to want to play for Josh McDaniels? I would suspect not.
I wouldn't. Those personalities, I think, would be pretty tough together.
Okay, Luke Getsy goes to Chicago. Well, Chicago's got Justin Fields. They're not going to trade for Aaron Rodgers. The people there in Chicago were hired because they want to maximize Justin Fields.
And on top of that, in the division trade probably
right,
wouldn't
exactly.
happen.
The Packers would never do that. They only want to trade him in the conference if things are ideal, right?
Yep.
So that basically brings it down to Broncos, Steelers, or retirement. I would actually say that retirement may be a greater possibility than most people think,
Okay.
because he does strike me as someone who wants to move on with whatever his life is. The thing that works against that is I do not believe Aaron Rodgers wants to be in the same Hall of Fame class as Tom Brady. So that's why
Probably
it's a
not.
possibility, but I don't think it's a great possibility, which brings it down to Green Bay and Denver, and then it's does he want to start over? And that here's another thing. He would have Devonte Adams, but you talk about like all the receiving targets. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to start over. Like, for example, I think he would rather work with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, with whom he has some chemistry, than maybe a Tim Patrick or a Cortland Sutton. So all of a sudden, if he says, "Oh, I don't just want Devonte Adams back, I want MVS in the room," then you're probably trying to trade another receiver. As it is, I think if you trade for Aaron Rodgers, Jerry Jeudy, I would expect, is gone. Mm-hmm. Because Green Bay is going to want something of value. Are you then, if Aaron says, "Okay, I want MVS in here," well, then are you trading another receiver, maybe one of the guys that you just re-signed?
Yeah,
because
Tim Patrick.
Yeah, because you're trying to squeeze him in, and there's only so much to go around here, right?
Right.
MVS isn't going to want to be the number 4 receiver if he comes to Denver, with Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers isn't going to want him to be the number 4 receiver. He's going to want him out there. He's going to want Devontae Adams out there.
So are you okay with Devontae Adams, Scantling, and Cortland Sutton?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with them, with Tim Patrick as well. I think Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton, it's one or the other in that instance.
Yeah, and that's fair to me.
Even though you just re-signed him. And my guess is it would probably be Cortland Sutton, because we know how George Payton feels about Cortland Sutton.
He loves Cortland
His
Sutton.
son loves Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be George Payton having to go home and explain to his kid why he traded the guy that he just re-signed, who happens to be the young lad's favorite player, right?
Yep.
That would be but you can't make decisions based on that if you're GM. You make decisions based on what's prudent. And the other thing also is, with all respect to Cortland Sutton, I think Tim Patrick, if Aaron said, "I want MVS, I want Devontae Adams," if Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton were on the trade market, believe it or not, because it's less on the contract and because he's coming off a better season, I think you could actually have a better chance of maximizing what you'd get in return for Patrick than for Sutton.
That's fair.
Because Sutton's coming off a year that, not his worst, but probably his most disappointing.
So do you think if the Broncos do land Cortland Sutton, that it's not just Devontae Adams or land Aaron Rodgers? That it's not just Devontae Adams coming to Denver. It's also another one of his Green Bay receivers.
I could absolutely see that, yes.
Do you think that
in particular,
would be
the indications are that it'd be MVS.
Do you think that's something that Aaron Rodgers would demand?
I think he would make it very clear that there are guys that he has chemistry with, and that he would say, "Look, our chances of success are going to be greater if we have some guys in here that I've worked with." I mean, just look at the Super Bowl right now. What's a big reason why the Bengals are there? Because when Jamar Chase walked in, he already had chemistry with Joe Burrow. They weren't starting from zero. They were starting from up here because of what they did at LSU. And then you see it right from the jump, right from week 1, he's making big plays. They're on the same page. Burrow's anticipating how Jamar Chase is going to break. Any great quarterback will tell you that doesn't happen overnight. That takes years of work to get there. Like Peyton Manning said it when he was here. He didn't think that he'd really get the real good timing that he wanted with his receiving targets until the second year. The first year was about kind of feeling out what they did best. So, and indeed, the Broncos offense, very good in that first season, 2013, historic. Big part of that was The timing was there. They had a year under their belt. So if Rodgers comes in and says, look, we can get up to speed faster as an offense if we have these guys, and Hackett will probably concur, having been in Green Bay, having seen it on a day-to-day basis, then I think you do have maybe more changes coming to the pass-catching complement.
How good is this team if they get Aaron Rodgers, they trade Jerry Jeudy, and they get DeVonte Adams, and that could cost that could spend all of their money that they have in free agent or in salary cap. So it's this team right now without Jeudy, with DeVonte Adams and Aaron Rodgers. How good is this team?
Well, don't forget also, you're saying not re-sign other guys, so you're without Bryce Callahan.
Yep.
You're without Kareem Jackson.
Yep.
You're figuring out something at inside linebacker, perhaps Baron Browning and Jonas Griffith, right?
It's probably the cheap route.
Yeah, you're not. Maybe you're re-signing Josie Jewell on a value deal,
and you're
coming off the injury.
You're figuring out a way to get Bobby Massey at right tackle,
right? Because
he's going to be cheap.
Right, because you're probably not going to be able to find because of what you sacrifice in draft capital, which could be your first 3 picks in this draft. You're not going to be able to find a plug-and-play replacement at right tackle. So it probably is going to be Massey coming back on the Aaron Rodgers / hometown discount.
Mm-hmm.
And do you get Melvin Gordon back? Again,
it seems like he wants to be a Bronco.
It
very
seems
much
like
so.
He would take less to come back. And that's where, if you do get Aaron Rodgers, how you fill holes changes. It kind of like when Peyton Manning was here. You could kind of fill some late opening holes with guys who are willing to take a little bit less because they wanted to be on the train. Or, guys who even were unsigned into August. Think Evan Mathis. Think Keith Brooking back in 2012 coming in at middle linebacker. You were able to find guys to kind of patch those holes on the fly who are willing to take relative discount contracts. I mean, remember how every year it seemed like there was a parade of different veterans coming in? Mm-hmm. Like the first that were usually 1, maybe 2-year guys. You think of, just to fill holes, think of Brooking. Dan Copen, the Broncos bring in from New England. They bring in Jim Leonard as basically as a 6th defensive back. Some didn't work. Quentin Jammer didn't really work out as a corner, but they keep bringing those kind of veterans in. Evan Mathis might have been the best of that bunch, but that's how you end up filling holes from year to year, is just like that. Players that have lingered on the market because they're getting into their 30s, but hey, one last, maybe I'm going to retire, but one last go around with a team that's got Aaron Rodgers and is contending. I get a chance to maybe put a ring on my finger.
Right.
All of a sudden, that's the pool you're drawing from.
Yep.
Rather than, but you're going kind of year to year.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally, right tackle, I know this may sound crazy, right tackle may become a turnstile with a different guy every year. As you fill in, because you might not be able to spend the big money to ever patch that hole. You might be looking for more 1-year solutions there and at other spots on the roster. But but you look at how the Patriots with Tom Brady, how many guys would come in there for a year? You look at the Broncos with Peyton Manning, how many guys were here for a year, maybe 2 years. That's okay. That's workable. The Rams are kind of figuring that out too.
Yep.
Let's bring Eric Weddle back for a few weeks, right? That's how your style of roster construction changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, that means you're solving problems. It's almost like you're an airplane, and you have the maintenance while you're in flight.
Right.
You're not landing the plane and going back in the hangar.
You're getting that gas refill in the air.
It's like Air Force One. You're getting you got the refuel tanker, and they're popping it down, and you're filling up right there. You're not landing the plane. It's just getting you until the next point where you need another refill.
So how good is this team if it is the revolving veterans with DeVonte Adams, without any of the free agents, without any of the premium draft picks this year, but with DeVonte Adams?
Oh, it's a Super Bowl contender.
Out of like 4 or 5 teams, like they're in that group?
Yeah, it's the cluster you'd say is
Chiefs,
Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo. You have to put Tennessee in there. I mean, they were a number 1 seed even though without Derrick Henry for a while.
Putting the Chargers in there?
They got to prove themselves.
Okay, so they're not in there.
Not yet. The Broncos would be ahead of the Chargers.
So in the AFC, and I agree with that. In the AFC, they're one of 4 contenders.
They're one of the top 4. Yes.
Did you put the Ravens in there?
I think they're kind of in the Chargers category, but I think they're better positioned to get back just because of the experience that they have. The problem with the Chargers is this crew with Justin Herbert, Brandon Staley, they haven't done it yet.
Yep.
They haven't done it. At least the Ravens have had a number 1 seed. At least the Ravens have won a playoff game with this quarterback. The Chargers haven't done it yet. So you'd have to say if one kind of jumps up and joins that group, it is the Chargers. But you have to say the Bengals are there, and the Bengals should get better. They have $48 million in cap space.
Whew.
Now, they're probably going to spend a good chunk of that on the offensive line, as they should, and they'll probably spend their first-round pick there too. But the Bengals should, believe it or not, the Bengals should be better next year than this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Bills, I think, that's going to be a question of how good is Ken Dorsey calling the plays. We know he's a very good quarterback coach. Now he's stepping up into the big chair calling the plays for Josh Allen. If he does well, the Bills will do well. The Chiefs, they're not going away. They're no matter how anyone wants to believe that. And the Titans, even though Ryan Tannehill is scattershot, they will get, if they get Derrick Henry for a full season. Again, they were good. Derrick Henry without half the season without him, and they still got the number 1 seed. So you have to put them in the mix as well as a contender, even though when you look at how these teams are in the playoffs and what they have, I think we kind of saw it in that game in Nashville, that the team with a great quarterback is probably going to have just enough to edge past the Titans, kind of like the Chiefs did in the AFC Championship game a couple years back against the Titans. You put them in that mix, but I think you'd say the Broncos, with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and maybe MVS as well, probably have a better shot, even with the potential for a roster that has some holes and the potential for a defense that, frankly, I think if Aaron Rodgers comes in, I think you have to expect this defense is probably going to be average.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's totally okay if you have an elite offense and an average defense.
We've lived with the good to great defense and the bad offense, okay? I think if this defense comes back to mid-tier but you fix the offense, I don't think anybody's complaining, and that also that's the equation with which you can win today. You don't have to have a great defense. You do have to have a decent to good defense.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals have a good defense. Not a great defense, but it's good.
Yep.
The Rams have a very good defense. A lot of talent on that side of the ball. The Chiefs had a good defense when they won down the stretch in that season when they won the Super Bowl, and even when they got there and lost. The Bucs had a good enough defense. That's all you're asking. Good enough.
Yep, exactly. And so the Broncos will be a top 4 team in the AFC. And the NFC, I mean, who's even contending at that point? The Rams are obviously a contender since they're there right now.
Where's Russell Wilson?
Let's say he's with them.
With Seattle?
With Seattle.
Then
I don't even know if I could put them in there because look what they were this year.
Yeah, and they also went down to L.A. and nearly beat the Rams in the fourth quarter.
They did.
With Wilson still not back 100%. Seattle, and again, we talked about it earlier with Russell Wilson. If Seattle gets their wits about him, they have to understand there's a path for them, and it just involves building around Russ.
Yep.
Get just the next 2 or 3 years. There's no one else, and if Aaron Rodgers is out of the NFC, who's in the way? Now, there is some speculation, if you believe Scott Zolak, longtime Patriots color analyst and someone who knows Tom Brady, that maybe the whole Tom Brady retirement thing is him trying to get his way to San Francisco.
Oh, now that would be something.
His boyhood team.
Oh man, that would be great. And just keep Tom in the NFC. That's great. Anything with that, I'm fine with.
But imagine that for a moment. Imagine if you have an NFC, just live in this fantasy world for a second, where you have Kyler Murray, if he's back with Arizona, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford in the Rams, and Tom Brady in the 49ers. I mean, you have one division that's great, and the rest is just a wasteland. I mean, Dallas probably ends up as your number 1 seed by default.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens to them in the playoffs? They probably crap the bed like they almost always do.
Yeah, like
right?
they always do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The NFC South is a tire fire with Tom Brady out of the mix. The Bucs are probably still the most talented team in that division, and they're certainly the best coached team in that division. That would eke their way to 10 wins. Shoot, in this wasteland of a conference, if Aaron Rodgers is not with the Packers, Green Bay might still win the North.
Yeah,
With
which is crazy.
With insert bridge quarterback here if Jordan Love isn't ready.
Whew, man, that would be something. And the Broncos would be competing with the Chiefs for the AFC West. Mace, you got the shades on. And speaking of shades, our friends over at Light Shade Dispensary are hooking you up with 25% off if you visit one of their 10 stores in the Denver metro area. You'll get hooked up with a 25% off by using the code DNVR. You can also use that code over at Light Shade Dispensary on their website, and you'll get 25% off as well. And they are featuring Ripple, which is a fast-acting dissolvable, and it's clinically proven to hit 2 times faster than the leading gummy. It starts absorbing within 10 minutes, so you can count on a consistent experience. So you got to check out Ripple over at Light Shade Dispensary. And whether you're a connoisseur or a casual consumer, you will be able to get anything you want over at Light Shade Dispensary. So check them out. There are 10 locations in the Denver metro area, and use the code DNVR whether you're in one of their stores or online for 25% off.
We've been telling you about the jobs open at Ball. They're looking for production technicians. Of course, we had a listener to the DNVR Nuggets podcast who just got hired.
Yes.
By Ball, is joining the team over at Ball, joining the team that your Aunt Julie is on. Of course, people are what make Ball special. People at every level come in to work each day at Ball and give 100% to accomplish the goals. And they are looking for more production technicians who represent the front line in their can-making operations. You'll get $27.39 per hour to start if you join Ball as a production tech. You've got the potential for wage increases at 6, 12, 18 months off the job. You get exposed to other manufacturing opportunities. You're involved with can making. Of course, if I had my aluminum can here, I would show you a beautiful aluminum beverage can made over by our friends at Ball at their plant in Golden. If you're production tech, you've got the chance to move up. You can become a maintainer, which is the next step up on the front on the assembly lines. Employees that start out as production techs have also moved into operations and management. It's a full-time role with benefits. You get insurance active on the day of hire, 401k for retirement, stock ownership program, and the potential for an annual bonus. So if you want to get in on a company that is involved in high-tech manufacturing and is a great place to work, then text Golden to 77222 and you'll be linked to open positions at Ball. You can also go directly at jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or text Golden to 77222 to be unstoppable at Ball.
And let's jump into the comment section and talk to the people. But first, do we have any super chats? So let's jump into the comment section. And first one coming in today from Lou Drock says, gents, next Broncos quarterback, you have to pick one. Trade packages are relatively even. Let's hope Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray's on here. He says Matt Ryan. That's not one of them. Baker. It's not one of them. Daniel Jones. It's not one of them. And Jimmy G. Uh-oh. Go. Cheers, Charlie.
Okay. You want to rank them 1 to 4 here?
Let's do it.
All right. Baker number 1. Baker Mayfield number 1.
I agree with that.
Matt Ryan number 2.
Oh, boy.
He's still pretty good.
This just feels so much like a Joe Flacco thing. It feels like we're relying on 3 years ago.
He's a lot better than Flacco was coming in, though.
I think he's better, but how much better?
Matt Ryan is still a top half of the league quarterback. Joe Flacco got benched.
I don't know, Mace. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's Teddy.
Did you look at the team around him last year?
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts and what else?
Yeah, that's great. Quarterbacks
Right.
are able to lift people around them, though. And I know he didn't have Calvin Ridley for most of the season.
He didn't have Calvin Ridley. He didn't have Julio Jones, of course. They traded. I think Matt Ryan's, he's pretty good, but not great. Would he be better than you've had? Yes. But the key is don't view him as a long-term guy. So, but that's the thing. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be a long-term quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is strictly a one-year guy. I would go with Jones because he's cheaper. So my order is Mayfield, Ryan, Jones, Garoppolo there at the bottom.
Man, I just hate this so much. I'm going Daniel Jones, number 2. And the reason for that is, Mesa, one of your favorite words, cost-controlled. All of these quarterbacks are kind of grouped together to me. You're going to be paying Matt Ryan a ton of money. You're going to be paying Jimmy G a ton of money. At least you're not paying Daniel Jones a ton of money. He has more upside than those other two guys, but upside doesn't mean much in this conversation to me because I don't think he has that much upside. But, I mean, there's a huge gap here.
Who wins a competition between Jones and Locke?
In training camp?
Yes.
Jones. Daniel Jones does.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you agree?
I think Drew Lock wins it.
Oh, man.
And people think I hate Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I just don't think much of Daniel Jones at this point.
That would be quite a competition. And then I'll go with...
If a Lock-Jones competition, I think, would have people reaching for the Maylocks.
Oh, yes. It absolutely would.
Yeah. At least with Matt Ryan and Baker Mayfield, you're saying, okay, they're starting.
Right. Yes.
Can we agree we don't want a competition this summer?
No, you don't. You want a guy.
Even if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, and if they draft Kenny Pickett, you know what? I'm fine handing the keys to Kenny Pickett and saying, "All right, we're gonna grow with you. That's it. We're gonna swing. We identified you as our guy. We identified you as our guy in part because of your intelligence, in part because of your unflappable style. So just go out there and take your lumps."
Fair. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go Baker, Daniel Jones, Jimmy G, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has so much dead money and a huge cap hit. So, I mean, they can't even trade him
It's not a tradable contract. That's the thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
if we're in an ideal world, then fine. But that contract is difficult to trade, but that's the Falcons' problem. Hey to your peers. Hey, guys, love the back and forth on the Kyler drama. Well, you probably loved our back and forth today on Rodgers then. I'm 100% with you on Kyler in terms of the sheer talent and on-field capability, and it's tough for me to think anyone could actually refute that. He's smooth as butter most of the time out there. My potential issue that I have is his attitude. I was a year ahead of him at A&M when he was there, albeit as an 18-year-old freshman, I get it. And I don't feel like his public attitude and leadership, at least what is shown to us as spectators, is much different than it was 7 or 8 years ago when we were college kids. Is this something worth worrying over if a move is made for him, or could it maybe be chalked up to organizational stress in Arizona and Kevin Sumlin's A&M for that matter? Would love y'all's thoughts on the intangibles for Kyler versus the other Plan A quarterbacks.
Mace, I want to tie this into another comment that we got today coming in from Coach Tobin, who says, unpopular opinion, no to Kyler Murray. Watching him toward the end of the season seems to check out mentally when things aren't going his way. He also has leadership concerns dating back to his high school days here in Texas. Coaches that I know that were on Allen's staff said he was a problem to coach. It was like there was the team, then Kyler. He's got all the talent, but mentally he just seems to check out. My 2 cents. Kind of 2 comments coming in about this same thing. How much does it concern you?
Not that much. You know who else sometimes gets frustrated and shows it and can be perceived as not the greatest team guy in the world?
Aaron Rodgers?
Right.
Yep. And I am not going to discount either of these comments in terms of saying that they aren't true. I think that, that both of these people pointed out legitimate times where you could point to a lack of leadership. I don't like saying this, but if you're a good quarterback, you can get away and you can overcome those things, and you have to overlook those things sometimes. Do I think Kyler is an ideal quarterback? No, I don't. Do I think Aaron Rodgers is an ideal quarterback in terms of everything he brings? No, I don't. But these guys provide such a boost at the most important position of sports. And these things that Hey to Your Peers and Coach Tobin points out could come back to bite the Broncos or the next team Kyler's on if he does change teams or stays with the Cardinals. But you know what? It's probably going to be in the playoffs. It's probably going to be after a winning season, and that's just something that the Broncos are so desperate for.
I mean, the thing is, for some, it's the perception of checking out. For like Peyton Manning, it's you could see him getting angry with teammates at times, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, who can forget the audio clip? Pardon the language. God damn it, Donald!
Wow.
Against when Donald Brown missed an assignment. I mean, frankly, with greatness comes some degree of prickliness or like difficulty, right?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, is there a quarterback who was a great quarterback and was just kind of everyone loved him? Probably like a Joe Montana, perhaps, right?
Right.
But
John Elway was
John
a dude
Elway.
that everyone loved.
He was a dude that everyone loved. But
But to your point, Tom Brady can be really tough to work with.
Greatness-
Peyton Manning was tough to work with.
greatness sometimes, or maybe it's like kind of an artistic thing. Genius in some form, can often come with some issues, some that make things difficult in terms of their interaction with others at times.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they can't be great for you though.
Right. Absolutely.
And in fact, if somebody has that, then I think it actually is a little bit of an attribute. I mean, we haven't heard any difficulty about Joe Burrow, but he's a great quarterback. I'm sure that he's going to ask a lot of guys, and it's going to frustrate some guys over time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yep.
that's okay.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yep, it is okay. Next one coming in from Broncos 502. As a Broncos fan living in Louisville, where we have Skyline chili from Cincinnati, it's gross. Noodles don't belong in spaghetti. Mace, I think he meant chili doesn't belong in spaghetti. Mace, I was at the great Louisville heist when UNC and the refs stole that win last week. I've never heard the yum boo so loud.
Something that was really interesting is that as Carolina got it on the other end yesterday against Clemson, they, after Louisville got the got assessed the technical fouls that were a gift to Carolina, and that led to UNC winning in overtime. A week later, play down at Clemson, and you've got you've got a terrible technical foul call against Carolina. It's almost like these ACC referees are trying to make up for somebody getting a gift by saying, okay, we're going to have it equally bad go against you a week later. That's not how you solve the problem here, people. It was just nuts, but it was I felt like it was a little bit of, at least from North Carolina's perspective, getting the benefit one week, getting hosed 7 days later, a little bit of evening things out, karmically speaking. I know 502, you're a huge CARDS fan, and hopefully you'll get some karmic evening out on things later. It's been a rough go for Louisville. They got an interim coach right now. It's frustrating season. It's been kind of a strange few years for the Louisville Cardinal basketball program, but I digress.
He goes on and says, love the Hackett hire. Finally some hope in the coaching staff. I don't see his energy slowing down anytime soon. Can't wait to see Rodgers in orange and blue.
I guess 502 is saying that the we'll see means he's coming to Denver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next one from Nathaniel Thicket. Says, peep Shelby Harris wearing a DNVR shirt on the gram.
Did he pick that out when he was here?
I think so.
Okay,
I think he
yeah.
did. He got some merch when you come by the DNVR bar. You get hooked up, and we love seeing Shelby wearing the DNVR logo. That was pretty cool.
That's nice.
Pretty cool. Thanks for pointing that out, Nathaniel Thicket. If you want to see it, you can either go to Shelby Harris's Instagram, or if you don't have Instagram, you can check out the DNVR Broncos Twitter, where we've got that. Maybe we even pull it up live on this show right now.
Yeah.
Next one from Melbourne Broncos says, hi guys, of the three quarterbacks spoken about, Rodgers, Wilson, and Murray, if you were to substitute any of the three into our offense this season, the answer is pretty clear. Rodgers gets us 1,000 extra yards, 19 more touchdowns, maybe 5 more wins. Maybe Murray if he didn't get injured, but Wilson is a spent force. No real difference from Teddy. Cheers. Wow, shots fired at Teddy Bridgewater.
That is a hot take.
Yes.
We need the screaming sound effect from Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who back in the day from the 760 days, because that is a hot and spicy take, and I think as Wilson heals up and gets back to normal, I think, with all respect, Melbourne Bronco, that sentiment's going to be incorrect.
Yeah, and I do agree that after his injury, there wasn't much of a difference in some games between him and Teddy, but I think that was him really just struggling coming back from injury. I don't think that's where he's going to go. I think he's going to take significant steps in the future, and maybe it's with the Broncos, maybe it's still with Seattle, and he makes Seattle a Super Bowl contender again.
Yep. Mike 1809 says, no football comment today, but I had to chime in on the Cincinnati Chili's discussion from yesterday's pod. I'm a Colorado native and went to school about an hour from Cincinnati in Oxford, Ohio. Miami University, I guess, where I encountered Cincinnati chili for the first time. Because I'm from Colorado and grew up eating great chili, I refused to eat anything called chili from Cincinnati for my first few years in college. Then I started dating a girl from the area, and she loves Skyline chili. Maybe go with her. Skyline chili on conies is actually awesome. It's not what I would classify as chili, but it's pretty darn tasty. Just stick with Skyline, not that nasty stuff from Gold Star. Mace, I'd love to try yours and see how it stacks up. All that to say, go Bengals. I like the go Bengals. By the way, I agree. Skyline is much better than Gold Star. Like Gold Star is what they serve at Paul Brown Stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, not as good as Skyline at all.
No, not good.
And I'm guessing that Gold Star is what they have in the press box in Cincinnati, because at halftime they have kind of a chili spread. I mean, it's fine, but it's not as good. Give me Skyline all day.
Yeah, I mean, Shelby's wearing the Skyline Chilies of T-shirts in this photo. You get to see the DNVR as he's holding his kids. Awesome. We love you, Shelby. And Mace, I can get behind any type of chili on a coney. I can do that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Antonio Acosta, just heard Doug Marrone is not coming to Denver with Nathaniel Hackett being the first-time head coach. I always wonder if it's a good thing to have a previous head coach on the staff. Looks like that may not happen here unless someone else I hadn't heard is in the works. But then again, how'd that do for Vance Joseph, Mike McCoy, or Vic Fangio among Shaq and Shermer? Thoughts on this, and does it help?
And it's a good point, Antonio, is that the Broncos had a lot of head coaching experience on the past staffs, and it hasn't helped. I still think that it's nice to have that experience around in case you need it. Unfortunately, I don't think Vic was the guy who was going to go up to Mike Munchak and ask for help on what to do. Vic had been around the game for so long. Now, Nathaniel Hackett's been around the game for so long, but I think he'd be more so of a guy to ask for help. And another big blow is it looks like the Broncos aren't going to be able to get John Embry. And he was a guy where he doesn't have NFL head coaching experience. He was the assistant to a very good coach in Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. He was the assistant head coach there. He was also a head coach in the college ranks. Although it didn't work out, that's still some experience there, but it looks like he's going to sign with the Miami Dolphins.
Right, going to work for Mike McDaniel, with whom he worked in San Francisco, of course. And one thing that maybe we kind of have to look at here is, even though this particular former coach does not have NFL head coaching experience, has plenty of NFL coordinator experience and college head coaching experience, and that is Nathaniel's dad, Paul Hackett. And is it a case where when he wants some advice on things involving being a head coach, he's simply going to lean on his dad?
Potentially.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that big of a deal that the Broncos aren't going to have this. I think it'd be a nice bonus to have. But if Nathaniel Hackett was every day needing to go into Mike Munchak's office and ask him for help, probably means things aren't going very well.
Exactly.
And Mace, last one coming in from Bronco and SF, says Zach got a lot of move last week, and this week I think it's Mace's turn. Mace, I loved watching your coverage and career over the last decade in Denver. From your time with the team to the freedom I feel like you found at DNVR, you are truly one of the best in the biz. I appreciate your authenticity, empathy for others, and passion. Keep doing you, Mace.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very cool comment. And we have 2 super chats coming in at the buzzer. Let's hit them really quick. PowerCell99 says, trade Bowles and his $20 million salary. Denver $60 million under cap. Get a left tackle at 9, trade 2023 first and second round picks to get Rodgers, sign DEVONTE and Vaughn. Pro Cell 99. I mean, you're just drawing up a perfect situation right there. Unfortunately, I think to get Aaron, you probably have to trade number 9 this year. Yeah,
there's another thing also coming into play here is getting Vaughn back, well and good, but you're going to start putting things on credit cards to make it all work.
Would you do that if it meant getting all this talent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too.
If you accept that when all is said and done, you're going to have a bill to pay, but that's probably where this is going here.
Totally fine for me. And last one coming in from Jacob says, trade Hamler, Judy Fant, and 2 first-round picks for Rodgers and Adams. Then pick up Olave in the first. What do you guys think?
Did he just say you're trading 2 first-round picks?
Yeah, so you're probably not getting Olave from Ohio State.
Unless you're trading up for... You're taking your 2-2s and making that a first-round pick, but even then, you're not getting him at the end of the first round.
And for Adams, you actually wouldn't have to trade for him. You would be just picking him up in free agency.
Well, or the other thing that could come into play is a sign and trade.
That could happen. You don't see that happen too much in the NFL.
Yeah, a sign and trade, which would mean that Green Bay would get more than they would in terms of the third round comp pick if he just walked in free agency.
Right, exactly. Man, I've loved this conversation. Mace, thanks for riding with us.
We're tag and
Thank you
trade, I'm
all
sorry.
for rolling with us today. We really appreciate all the live viewers. If you tuned in live, please hit us with a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it. Subscribe and turn on alerts. That means a lot to us. And for all of you rolling with us, it means a lot to us that you do this on every single day. So we'll come back tomorrow with another great conversation. Thank you all so much for rolling with us. Have a wonderful Wednesday.